are you still sleeping on the ground? Really? Oh, come on. Oh, you son of a...
Ah! Oh! What the... Ow! God! Oh! Oh! Rosamund? What the hell, man? Oh, I'm still on the floor. God damn it. If you would have just stuck around and helped out, this never would have happened, and I would never have had to spend the goddamn night on the floor. Oh, my back is killing me. Oh.
Do you really think you've only been sleeping on the ground for a single night? Really?
Why the hell would I think anything different? Wait, are you saying it hasn't been just a day? Because, like, this can't fly, man. I need to get some serious work done by August. I'm gonna, like, take a bunch of notes ahead of time so I don't have to worry about it. And then, like, when August comes around, I can just breathe through. It'll be great. Just, like, are you here to record? Like, why would you be here to record already? Is it? It's not already Friday, is it? God damn it.
Oh, wow. This might actually be a little uncomfortable. Well, Gleeman, maybe you should check your phone. I did put it on the charger for you. Here it is. Here. Why don't you...
What? Thank you.
Maybe I'm going to come back another day. You just
Friday,
don't seem
really
like you want to record. Yeah, I think that would be...
What? Sunday, August 4th? What? Wait, don't you go anywhere. Wait, what? Oh my god.
Gleeman, what are you doing? You just got all the dogs riled up. You know what? Just calm down.
I'll
be back.
You go anywhere. Oh my god, I've been asleep for practically 2 weeks.
Honestly, I don't really know how to answer that. It's
not
my fault.
2 weeks?
You're the one who called on the great
fucking
Lord.
weeks, and you didn't wake me up? What the hell? How much have I missed? Have I fallen behind on... What the fuck?
Okay. I can see that you're upset. First of all, I did try to wake you. I came by that Friday, I came by the next Monday, and then I came by, the last Friday, and you're still just laying there, and I kicked you, and nothing happens, so
you let me stay asleep on the floor for 2 goddamn weeks, and you tried to kick me awake? Is that why I have bruises all? Oh my god. 2 weeks. Oh my god, what have I fallen behind
that
on?
Actually kind of reminds me, you're out of, food. Yeah, a couple times I came over to check if you were ready to record, and I was hungry, and, yeah, you're out of food. Also, I tried to watch that Harmon Quest thing we watched that one time, and, all your streaming services are canceled. I don't know.
I see. Yeah, this is really fulfilling your part of the bargain, Balsamon, for working on this podcast. Yeah, letting me stay unconscious on the floor for 2 weeks so you could finish the job you walked out on. Yeah. Oh, yeah, this is... Yeah. Oh, then you eat all my food, and then my bills are overdue because... Oh, my God. Oh, and... Are we recording?
Yeah, set it up
serious?
so we can record at any moment. I just clicked it with the weave of air when I walked in, on my way in. I thought we'd finally be able to record today, that you'd be able to wake up today. Yeah, it's yeah, and we are recording.
Okay.
Yeah, we adore
wow. If we're that far behind, I don't think I have time to... Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Gleeman Radio. I'm your host, Tom. Today, we're going to be covering Chapter 23, WolfBrother, which is a supremely awesome and important chapter. Luckily, I already read it ahead of time. Yeah. Oh, God. We're going to meet Elyas. We're going to meet Hopper, Burn, Wind, Dapple. It's going to be great. But you know what? I need a moment. I need a fucking moment because I've been on the floor for 2 weeks. So Baalzamon's going to step in here and he's going to do the spoiler intro. And then he's going to do the recap. And then we're going to have a talk off air. And then I'll come back and do this podcast for you because you guys are great. Baalzamon, I can't. I just can't. Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, Gleeman looks pretty goddamn upset, doesn't he? Most people would appreciate a couple weeks off work. No? Some people would think it a fair price, to be out of food. Okay, I get it. I should have put in a little more effort to wake him up sooner. I know, but sometimes I wonder who's the actual asshole between us. It's remarkable. It really is. But I can't entirely blame him for being upset. I mean, how many 1,000-year naps have I had only to be able to come out and play for 40 years before it's back in the damn pit? I should give him, I should give him, yeah, he's allowed to be a little cranky. I'll let it go today. I hope we're going to do some Balsam Q&As, though. I don't know, so... I guess I'll just get on with the spoiler warning, won't I? You ready? All right. This is a spoiler warning, you insignificant worms. So take heed, for I am Baalzamon, Heart of the Dark, the creator of this alright content, so-so. Gleeman Tom has created the series, read all of it. He has read and listened to the series on multiple occasions, and he knows it quite well. Yes, he does. Part of the fun of the reread is re-experiencing things and discovering new ones, as he says. But, yes, if you haven't read the entire series yet, I wouldn't recommend listening to this podcast, to be honest, because, the Gleeman may not remember every insignificant detail coming up, but, he might discuss something that it relates to 2, 5, 7, or even 10 books down the line. So, if you listen, regardless to my Baalzamon's warning, well, who's to blame, listener? Not I, who went and ruined what possibly could be the greatest fantasy series ever written. Not me, it was you. It was. It just plain and simple. Yeah. Huh. Gleeman's not back yet. I suppose I should just go on to the recap then. Yeah. So, chapter 22, I believe it was called Path Chosen. Yes, Perrin woke up and he was dressed like a tree because he covered himself in tree limbs to protect himself from the elements, and they were still on him when he woke up. He looked like a tree. It was funny. This is lame, Baalzamon. Lame. You can do better than this. He looked like a dork when he was trying to run through the woods and find a Egwene. Yeah, and then he was all cautious. Oh no, someone might find me. But then, he sees a hoof print with a horseshoe from his old master, and he throws caution to the wind and just jauntily walks into the child's camp. And it's no wonder she was alarmed and had a stick raised over her head. I mean, he was diving and taking rolls and hiding behind bushes, and all of a sudden, oh look, a horseshoe from Emmons Field. I'm gonna march through with the brambles and be all loud. And yeah, she was concerned, obviously. It's weird, yes. Then they decide to go to Camelin. That's what happened. And then the whole, side story of me leaving and the Gleeman calling upon the Great Lord of the Dark to bring me back, and that of course drew his attention upon the Gleeman, which made him sleep for 2 weeks because I was too lazy to heal him. Honestly, I could have healed him, but you all know what my healing's like. All he'd do is complain about having a migraine for the rest of the week. And just, what good would there be in that? Really? I mean, honestly.
All right, Baalzamon, you finished?
Yeah, I finished.
Good. I think it's about time we had a little chat. Would you mind hitting the space bar and giving us some alone time to
I
talk?
suppose if we have to. Well, listeners, here's the clip of the day for Chapter 23, WolfBrother. Enjoy. I'm about to get yelled at.
Yeah, we'll be right back. I hope you enjoy the clip of the day. Just because I'm angry at him doesn't mean I'm angry at you listeners. You're great.
Elyas went on in a conversational tone. Dapple says she smelled Halfman and Trollocs in your minds while you were telling that fool story. They all did. You're mixed up with Trollocs somehow, and the Elyas. Wolves hate Trollocs and Halfman worse than wildfire, worse than anything. And so do I. Byrne wants to be done with you. It was Trollocs gave him that mark when he was a yearling. He says game is scarce and you're fatter than any deer he's seen in months, and we should be done with you. But Byrne is always impatient. Why don't you tell me about it? I hope you're not dark friends. I don't like killing people after I've fed them. Just remember, they'll know if you lie. And even Dapple is already near as upset as Byrne.
Oh, alrighty guys, welcome back to Gleeman Radio. Sorry for the wait. Maybe one day I'll learn that naming the Dark One goes badly. I just, needed Balsamon to come in and do his damn Q&A, and I did something I shouldn't have, and it's awful. It was just, it was awful. I really am. My streaming services really did get canceled. A whole bunch of things really did happen. Part of the reason I'm late. But there was a problem with my bank card, and now I'm going to be broke for the next week and a half. It's all this stuff, and it started with me procrastinating, and then it pushed me into a hole, so I am sorry about that. I'm really excited for Chapter 23, WolfBrother. This is going to be truly great, because, in my opinion, there are two different parts that are important to the reread. The last chapter, Chapter 22, A Path Chosen, that's all just fun little stuff you don't remember. Perrin is not doing well at traveling in the woods, really. He's acting all goofy, and he's, doing all this shit. Really? Because you think of him as WolfBrother Perrin, in rereads, because, you're so ingrained with all of that. And you just see him acting ridiculous, and you see Egwene, who's so talented and so, just absolutely amazing when it comes to the one power later in the series, going I lit a fire, haha, and you're like, ooh, it's just so much little fun stuff, which makes a reread so great. But Chapter 23, WolfBrother, is one of those important chapters, one of those fateful encounters that really propel the story forward. You got Rand meeting Min early on, that's important. You got Matt and Shadowlogoth taking something he never should have touched, and that's important. And then you have Perrin and Egwene in the woods across from the Arenal meeting Elyas and the wolves, and that is very important. Even Egwene being there is just kind of great. It's phenomenal, and I'm so excited to get back into it. So let's just get into the chapter breakdown right now. So the chapter opens up with Perrin already sure that this is not going to be a pleasant, easy journey, And it all started with Egwene declaring that they'll take turns riding Bella. And Perrin tries to argue against this point. He really does try. But Egwene's just not having it. It's Perrin's saying things like he's more used to walking than riding. Or that, more practically, he's too big to ride Bella. Which I agree with. Honestly. Perrin's a pretty big guy, and Bella's just a poor little cart horse. I mean, I think I said it in the last episode. I think. It's, great and all that the shaggy mare hauled Egwene across. Egwene's a small, slight girl. And, maybe she could have done the same for Moraine, or Nynaeve, or, hey, you know what? Maybe even Matt and Tom. They are described as having slender frames. But Lan, or Rand, or Perrin? I don't think so. She's a little cart horse. You know, and her most memorable riders are, I believe, Swan and Egwene. So she's literally the Amerlin seat. Bella. Bella the creator? No. Bella the Amerlin seat. I like that one. I like that one a lot. Oh, that one's not in my script. That was just me talking out my ass, and I liked it. I liked it a lot. She's not big enough, and I don't know why Egwene is doing this. And that's not exactly true. She won't be dissuaded, okay? She's pulling out the stubbornness, full force, answering all of Perrin's points with ones of her own in a way that makes arguing back pointless. I mean, come on. How is Perrin supposed to fight this without being a jackass? Egwene's just like, oh, I see now. So you are used to walking, and I'm not. I am not. So I'm the only one that's supposed to get saddle sore. Perrin Ibarra? Yeah? Yeah? And then when you're not able to walk anymore, because that's all you did for we don't know how long, who's going to have to take care of you, Perrin Ibarra? Me. M-E. Perrin. So don't be such a selfish dick. Okay. I may have paraphrased the last line. Just a little bit. So what? It all amounts to the same thing. How do you fight that, people? Really? She's like, am I the only one that's supposed to be uncomfortable? Am I the only one that's not supposed to get tired and just sore from riding the horse? Like, how are you supposed to? You're used to walking and I'm not? It's just, without being a complete and utter dick, how are you supposed to fight this? I got nothing. I don't know where you begin your argument. Maybe you guys could tell me, because I don't know. And again, I don't think Egwene's just being stubborn for no reason or anything. I kind of alluded to that earlier, but I don't really believe that. She's scared and separated from Rand and Nynaeve, the people she's closest to. And her new mentor, Moraine, the super wizard, is nowhere to be found. And I think the girl's just trying to exert some small level of control over her surroundings to make her feel less powerless about her situation here. I mean, it's not like she or Perrin know if they're on the correct course to Camelin, or how long it'll take to get there, or, you know, even if they do get there, the Aes Sedai will find them, or if they'll have to go all the way on to Tar Valon. You get my point? There's so much uncertainty, and by God, she'll take charge of something and try to maintain some level of control over this hostile environment she's been put in, full of doubt, shadow spawn, and fear. I mean, it makes sense she's trying to cling to something. It's just, she's clinging to something pointless. And what makes it so much worse is it's not even like she's being unreasonable here either. It's just, hey, Perrin, let's take turns riding the horse so we don't get too tired or wear out our feet before we get to our destination, especially since we don't know how far away it is. I mean, God, Egwene, you're forcing Perrin to rest his tired feet? Jesus, what a bitch. Like, you can't even fight her about it. And just, now that I really think about it, I hope they're giving Bella breaks too. Like, do they go Egwene rides, Perrin rides, you know, they hang out for an hour and let Bella rest? I hope so. You know, I'd never thought much about horses, but I don't even claim to love or like horses. But as I get into the series, I'm like, oh, I hope the horse is okay. Oh, Rand, you asshole. You bailed on Cloud like he was trash. You know, all this. It's great. It's great. I think you're allowed to feel attached to Bella because, you know, she's around for a long time. Yeah. So, in the end, even though Perrin really doesn't want to take his turn riding the small, shaggy little mare that is too small for him, the innkeeper's daughter bullies him into the saddle every time. And I love how at one point he's all sullen and he's thinking, heroes and stories don't get bullied or flinch every time it's told their turn to ride the little horse. Oh, but then again, those heroes of legend never had to deal with Egwene. Oh, I love it. I love it so much. rereads to me are just fun for the little moments. That stuff is so entertaining to me. Moving on. So, as it turns out, the writing/walking arrangement was the least of their problems, after all. During their journey, the bread and cheese Perrin so dearly wanted seconds of on that first night, kind of gives out by day one. Like, they're already out of food. That's not good. But at least Perrin was able to snag a scrawny rabbit that first night. So, yeah, that was good. However, upon returning back to their camp with his mighty kill? That's a scrawny rabbit, who cares? He finds Egwene kneeling over the wood of the yet-to-be-started campfire, eyes closed and a look of deep concentration on her face. I don't know exactly why, but I always have loved Perrin's next line here so damn much. He just kind of looks at her and is like, Egwene, what are you doing? You can't wish a fire. It amuses me, and I don't know why. It's been a line I chuckled at every single time I've read the series, I swear to God. But Egwene's reaction seems a bit odd to me. She, like, whirls around with a hand to her throat, like, oh my God, you know, kind of breathy, and, with Perrin, I didn't hear you coming. I mean, I know she was concentrating and trying to channel, but it just doesn't seem like Egwene sort of thing to do. Holding a wooden stick like a club to bash Perrin as he thoughtlessly made noise heading into her camp last chapter, that seems legit. But, you know, then again, maybe I'm thinking more of the Egwene we see later in the series, you know? She's only like a 17, 18-year-old girl right now who'd left home for the first time only a few weeks ago in order to seek adventure. Maybe I'm just expecting too much from the current Egwene, but whatever. Anyways, Perrin tells her to get out her flint and steel so they can at least eat well that night, you know, because they got this scrawny rabbit that's totally eating well. But Egwene's like, I can't. I lost it in the river. And Perrin's like, wait, you lost it? How did you start a fire last night then? I don't... And he gets enough clues to realize how she started the fire the night before. And he's so not cool with it. You shouldn't mess with something like that. The power? And Egwene's just like, I can do it, Perrin. It was so easy last night. Just like Moiraine said I had taught me, you know? And I'm like, yeah, I bet it was, girl. You were soaked and wet, exhausted and terrified. It was dark, and you could probably still hear Trollocs in the distance. I bet it was super easy to surrender to Saidar at that point in time. However, I bet right now you're trying to control the flow, and you see what I did there? You know, because she's untrained and doesn't truly know what she's doing yet, and shouldn't be playing with fire, literally playing with fire. I think Perrin's probably right. Egwene should not be playing with literal fire without a teacher to keep an eye on her. Remember when, like, Elaine burned her whole hand because she tried to smother a candle by, like, putting it into a fireplace or something? Yeah, you know, don't play with fire, Egwene, but whatever. Perrin tries so hard to insist that she just don't do it again. Please. But you guys know Egwene. She's like, no way in hell, I will not. And then she goes on another tirade, like, would you give up your axe, Perrin Ibarra, or run around with one arm tied behind your back? I just will not do it. I mean, I get her point. She's so damn excited to be a potential Aes Sedai, and she doesn't want to deny who she is now that she's, you know, sure she's going to be an Aes Sedai. But I'm pretty sure Moiraine must have told her at least a little bit of how dangerous Saidar is to use untrained, so I don't know. Egwene has just always been stubborn about learning things before she's ready. So, like, whatever. I mean, Perrin sets out to make a fire bow and make the campfire himself. And, he's of course not able to convince Egwene not to attempt channeling ever again. But he does at least get her to concede not to try again that night. And I love how there's a description here of even after the rabbit was skinned and roasting over the fire, Egwene had, like, an unhappy look, and Perrin was sure she thought she could have done it better. Oh, that's just kind of Egwene. She does try every night onward, though. To absolutely no positive results. Like, at one point, she got a little pillar of smoke coming out, but it lasted like an instant and then vanished. So, didn't really work out for her. So, moving on. The Emmons Fielders kept pushing forward, and the landscape itself began to change and become more thickly forested. If you remember, when they were at the River Arenal, they were kind of some trees, but not very many, and now they're, like, into thick, unruly forest. And it's nice and atmospheric, and we're getting closer to the wolves, which is fantastic. But poor Perrin was beginning to seriously doubt his own plan, especially as the days went by, and they saw no signs of people to ask directions from, Remember, their plan was kind of, we'll head this way, because that's where Caemlyn's supposed to be, based off my musings of a map that's, purported to be inaccurate. And they're like, well, if we meet any villages or farms, we'll ask directions. But that's not happening. And Egwene is carrying on as confidently as when they started, but poor Perrin is just waiting for her to say it would have been better to stay there and wait for Moraine and, even risk a Kralik cookpot rather than become increasingly lost in the wilderness. She never did bring it up, but he kept expecting that, which is, Robert Jordan letting us know that Perrin is not super confident in his leadership skills and in himself right now. He's constantly expecting dissension among the ranks or, negative feedback from his friends. But what is he supposed to expect when he's like, I have a plan, and Egwene raises her frickin' eyebrows? Yeah. During these 2 or so days, food was getting ever more scarce. After that scrawny rabbit from the first night, they didn't see any more wild game, even though whoever was walking at the time had a sling ready for action. But as the book says, the only stones ever tossed were tossed in frustration. So they survived on wild tubers and other stuff they found in the wild, but nothing especially filling or delicious, until they came upon some wild mushrooms that they consumed super eagerly, and they were named something like the Queen's Crown, and Perrin called them the best, and just, I hate mushrooms. I do. I've always hated them. I try to be nice about it, but mostly, there are people who enjoy them, after all, and I don't want to make them feel bad about enjoying it. Much like Perrin and Egwene enjoyed their meal, eating away and talking merrily for a bit about home. Telling all these stories that started with, hey, you remember when? I mean, good for them. I'm so happy they found some wild fungus to chew on. That's great. See, I try to be nice about it, but it's fungus, guys. I don't understand. Anyways, the point is, the 2 are hungry. And they didn't laugh much before or after eating the mushrooms, because as Perrin so rightly puts it, there is little mirth in hunger. I get you, man. I think at one point in my early 20s and living in a studio apartment, I was eating on like $20 a week with ramen and dollar store hot dogs. I could usually only afford one meal a day. Yeah, by the end of the month, it was really tight. So the two continue on through the boundless wilderness, and on two separate occasions, on two separate days, and since we've been traveling for 2 days... Okay, so each day they came upon a ruin, a fortress, and a toppling tower in turn. However, memories of Shattered Logoth they weren't interested in ruins, and they kind of sped along until the ruins were hidden by the forest. Egwene apparently complains of bad dreams on both nights after seeing the ruins, reminding her of, Shattered Logoth, of course. But honestly, she doesn't have as much to, fear as Perrin does. She only ran away from the Trollocs and the Fades and had to avoid Mashadar as well, and, it's scary. Very, 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 very scary. But I think Perrin's got worse from seeing more death. But whatever. Perrin had bad dreams too, but didn't really see the point of bringing them up. His job as appointed leader was to do what he could to move them forward and keep them progressing, not scare Egwene with dreams of Balsamon chasing him through an endless maze, which I must admit does sound scary to me. I wonder if his subconscious fear causing the dreams of Balsamon, or if it's actually Balsamon hunting him in the dream, but he hasn't found him yet. Which makes me wonder why Balsamon hasn't found him. Maybe he's already mid-change? I don't know. Good luck? Taviran luck? I don't know. I think I have a theory, but again, it's just maybe the wolves are nearby or something. I don't know. We know Elyas is tracking them at this point in time, so I don't know. And I'm taking too much pointless time on this, so we'll move on because we're getting to the important bit, which is Elyas and the wolves. So as Perrin was walking this time in front of Bella, happily not to be in the saddle, he and Egwene freeze as they catch a familiar scent on the wind. It's a campfire with cooking meat. And do I need to remind you that these two are hungry? So yeah, they're just like, oh my god, yes. And Egwene's all about it. She's like, it smells like rabbit. But Perrin's just like, maybe rabbit, causing her smile to melt away. Yeah, Perrin thought they'd best be careful and check, because for all they know, it could be a Trolloc cook fire, and they would come across something much less pleasant if they came upon it. But I think they would notice the difference between the smell of rabbit and the smell of human flesh or whatever. I guess it could be Trollocs cooking rabbit. Yeah. I see more Trollocs killing each other when they're hungry and cooking their slain victim on the crock-pot on the cook pot rather than catching a rabbit. Trollocs are too lazy for that shit, right? Anyways, Perrin grips his axe and tells Egwene to wait here while he goes out and checks it. When she opens her mouth to argue the point, he's just like, hey, be quiet. We don't know who it is yet. And it works. Why? I can't be the only one confused here. Perrin's as dumbfounded as I am. He's just standing there, wondering why this doesn't work, when she tells him it's his turn to ride Bella. I don't know. Maybe being a potential wizard and the innkeeper / mayor's daughter of Emond's Field has given her an inflated sense of, importance. Maybe she thinks her life is worth more than his. I don't know. That sounds a little brutal and not very Egwene-like, but I don't know. Maybe she's just scared and hungry, and maybe she's just picking her battles right now. I don't know. But Perrin moves forward, axe out, and approaches as silently as he can. Poor fella. He is not confident with his weapon. He's not confident in himself. He tells us here that neither practicing behind Master Luhan's forge with the axe or his, short-lived training with Lan had prepared him to use it as a proper weapon, and even the battle before Shadar Logoth seemed way too vague and, fast-paced to provide him any comfort. He doesn't remember it very well. And, yeah, maybe that's a good thing, buddy, because I seem to recall multiple Trollocs trying to pull the axe out of his hands while another one had him by the legs or some such. Maybe not looking to that event for comfort and confidence was a good idea. Alright, so Perrin moves in, he gets close, and he peers around the trees only to discover a lanky old bearded man with long hair down the back and a beard that goes halfway down to his waist. Yeah, that's the right word. And, he's dressed entirely in furs, from his hat to his boots. He's got a crazy cloak that looks to be sewn together squirrel and rabbit hides, just about 1 billion of them. He's rocking the fur mountain man look. Yeah, Machira threads. Available only at your local Cabela's. I actually bet they'd sell pretty well there. Yeah. Anyways, now the man was strange, to be sure. Yeah, but what really caught Perrin's attention was the 6 rabbits roasting on sticks over the fire, browned to perfection, with the meat sometimes dripping delicious juice onto the fire with a hiss. Yeah, and Perrin immediately starts drooling. He can't even help it. He's just like, oh my god, that looks amazing. And Elyas, who a moment before just seemed to be sleeping, cracks open an eye and invites Perrin on in. Why don't you come in and eat, boy? Because he's been watching us. He's been watching Perrin and Egwene for 2 days, and he sees they haven't been eating much. And this takes Perrin by surprise. You don't expect to be stalked through the woods by an old man, but Elyas just says the horse is the only one of them that doesn't make enough noise to be heard miles off, which I guess could help support the Bella is the creator fan theory, because, I don't know, just evidence of her being awesome. But Perrin is a little bit insulted. He kind of bristles at the insult, because he's like, you can't hunt rabbits in the waterwood back home if you make noise in the woods. I was not making noise. Again, poor Perrin. It's not his fault. He's probably fairly stealthy for a 2-legs, right? But he's got nothing on a wolf when it comes to stealth, at least not yet. So next, Elyas asks if he's going to eat all the rabbit himself, or he's going to invite the pretty girl who's been bossing him around like a bantam rooster? I love how Elyas teases him about getting bullied. If he's going to invite her over for a bite too, which Perrin does, because he remembers that she is hungry too. So he kind of just yells back, "Yep, Egwene, you were right. It was a rabbit." So yeah, even though the old man totally just insulted him, Perrin greets him properly, holding out his hand and introducing himself, because Perrin's got good manners. Yep, and Elyas is a bit taken back by the gesture. Probably hasn't shaken a hand in a while. He's mostly with wolves. And I bet they're not amused by the whole shake joke, so I doubt you can get wolves to play shake. They'd probably get really insulted by it. And, what is wrong with me today? So yeah, Elyas shakes his hand, but he does it oddly, because he's like, not used to it anymore. And then he introduces himself as Elyas Machira for the first time, raising his head to look Perrin in the eyes. And Perrin got a little bit of a shock, and practically dropped the man's hand, because his eyes were yellow like burnished gold. And there was something familiar about it that he couldn't place at the moment. They're not natural, but all he could think of that Trolloc eyes are black, so it's not Trolloc eyes. But where have I seen these golden eyes before? It's haunting. At this time, Egwene emerges, cautiously leading Bella, and she tied the mare to a thick branch and made, I love this, polite sounds towards Elyas as Perrin introduced them? I mean, what does that even sound like? Oh, there you are, Egwene. I'd like to introduce you to the guy who's going to feed us so we don't starve to death. His name is Elyas Machira, and he roasted all 6 of those rabbits just for us. I know. I really know it's a nothing line. It just amuses me to no end. Anyways, Elyas motions them towards the food, and the 2 young people fall to with a will. I mean, Perrin is pulling off chunks of meat so hot, he has to bounce it back and forth on his hands before it's cool enough to put it in his mouth, and greasy juice is running down Egwene's chin, because she's not eating neatly either, because they're just tearing into the flesh of those rabbits. They just need that sustenance, you know? They haven't eaten much in days, so go at it, guys. Good on you. Besides, I don't think Elyas is going to be upset by bad table manners here, or, would it be campsite manners? I don't know. Anyways, the 2 eat so long, the day actually turns into twilight before they're able to stop. Yep, they were hungry, all right. They ate for hours, I guess. Like, what the hell? And it's at this point that Elyas asks them, what are they doing out here? You know, there isn't a house in 50 miles in any direction, no civilization at all. What are you kids doing? And Egwene's like, they're going to Camelin. And Elyas just loses it. He is laughing his ass off, guys. I mean, he is just... Oh, he is going nuts. He tells them that the route they're going, they'll pass something like 100 miles north of Camelin. And an embarrassed Egwene tells him that they were, planning on asking directions when they found a farm or village. It just hasn't happened yet. And this has Elyas laughing still harder. And he tells her that they won't find any civilization at all the way they're going. He tells them, through his laughter, that they could keep traveling till the spine of the world and still meet no one. And that, if they climb the spine, which it can be done in some places, they'd eventually meet someone, but they'd be in the waste, broiling by day, freezing by night, and no way to find water anytime unless you're in Aiel. And that they don't like visitors very much. This, in turn, becomes so amusing to the fur-clad old man that he literally starts rolling on the ground in laughter. No, they don't like visitors much at all. Yeah. Only a warder who helped train Lan up a bit would think dying by Aiel spears is funny. And that would be, probably the best outcome of all. Otherwise, they might be sent back to the Dragon Wall in their skins with only 1 water bag between them, or even worse, possibly sold as slaves to Shara. I mean, I swear, wolves, warders, and Aiel, they all have very similar humor, and I like it. Poor Perrin, he doesn't get it all, and wonders if, they're eating with a madman right now. That's all he can think of, because this is not normal behavior. Now, we're going to pause the progress of the chapter breakdown here for just a second so I can discuss something I've been really wondering about here. And that is, Perrin meeting Elyas out here in the woods seems like some Taviran work, for sure. Someone who can guide him and explain the beginning of his, wolfiness. His furry little problem, if you guys like a Harry Potter reference. And it makes me wonder why they found nothing to hunt the last few days. I mean, was that all part of it? Either A, the creatures were scared of the wolves nearby, because Elyas did say he'd been watching Perrin and Egwene for 2 days. And Elyas is never far from the pack, so, all those predators around made the wolves, and, all those predators around made, like, the rabbits and, like, birds or whatever they were going to hunt, like, a little bit scarce, right? Or B, Elyas has been an asshole this whole time and has been taking every rabbit or squirrel or bird for himself and the pack, which doesn't seem much like Elyas. I don't think he would. The wolves can hunt for themselves, and I seriously doubt Elyas is the type who would waste food and hunt when he didn't need it. Or finally, C, that the pattern forced Perrin and Egwene across at a point of the Arenal where they would encounter Elyas, also keeping game out of their path, so the wolfy, wandering warder would have no choice but to take pity on the young cubs and feed them. That's really how it could have worked here. And I can hear you asking, Perrin, I get, but why would the pattern force Egwene into this situation as well? Why? Why, Gleeman? Well, to you I would say, would it really be so weird for Perrin's Tavernus to twist the pattern so he meets a WolfBrother guide, and the innkeeper's daughter meets the first person in several books other than Baalzamon who has access to World Reread? Yeah, I know. I seem to remember hearing Elyas say at one point that he doesn't really mess with the dream much, but still he has access and at least a tiny knowledge. And the innkeeper's daughter is literally sitting among living beings who could teach her how to walk the dream this early. I mean, really, how interesting would that have been? Egwene taking some dream lessons from wolves? Oh, man. Well, I guess the wise ones count after all. They are just a different kind of predator. But I think it would have been great if she could have gotten a little bit of that teaching too. And also, funny enough, we haven't got to it yet. We'll keep it back. Egwene is annoyed now with the old man laughing at her, and she asks him stiffly if he would either lead them in the right direction, or point them in the right direction, because she just doesn't want to be laughed at. And this cuts off Elyas's laughter immediately. And he's like, I don't know about that. I don't like villages or farms or cities much. There's nothing good in them, and they don't like my friends. And that's when they come. He tells them to be still, because his friends are coming now. And Bella doesn't like that at all and starts panicking immediately, whinnying in fear as 4 large wolves prowl into the campsite and lay down between the humans. Perrin gets the sense that there are more wolves in the shadows as well. More than he knows, more than that, he knows that how he recognized Elyas's yellow eyes now, because they're wolf eyes. He figured it out, and Perrin very nervously reaches for his axe, and the old man's like, oh, no, that's not a good idea. That's a bad idea, lad. The wolves' hackles are raising, and I like how Perrin feels like he can almost imagine the tension in the wolf's release as he moves his hand away from the axe. I wonder how he could know that. I wonder. So excited, guys. So early, he's already starting to get this empathetic connection, and it's so cool. And now, Egwene is the nervous one, asking Elyas if they're, are these wolves tame? Are they like your pets? Because, this is freaking me out. Bella is like, inching back and forth and raising her hooves, like, you know, don't you try this. You don't want none of this. I'll kick you, I swear. Like, they're not good. They're not doing good. They're freaking out a little bit. But Elyas is just like, be still, be calm, and they won't hurt you. And the mayor either, just relax. And she's like, again, are they tame? Are they your pets? I'm freaking out here. And he's like, wolves don't tame, girl. Not even as good as men. And he's like, they're just my friends. We hunt together, we rest together, we converse together. And to which Perrin marvels. It's very important that it says that. Marvels. You talk to them? Holy flaming light, this dude can talk to wolves? This is a crazy, awesome ability. You know? Now, Perrin marveled. That's what it says in the book. But I'm sorry, folks, but I'm kind of stuck on this term, marveled. It's a good one. It's like saying, you could talk to wolves, said Perrin in wonder, or said Perrin in awe, you know, said Perrin in, you get my point. At least on some level, Perrin is intrigued by the idea of a man talking to a wolf. But the way he treats the ability as the story goes on, you almost feel like he should have said, you can talk to wolves, said Perrin aghast, you know? Doesn't that sound more in line with Perrin's storyline? How many listeners out there got increasingly frustrated with Perrin's moping about his awesome wolf powers? Like, you know, who here doesn't want the ability to dream vividly and control that part of your, you know, REM cycle or whatever? Who doesn't want super enhanced senses? It's just, Perrin marveled seems like false hope and a lie to me right now. It makes me want to read on and see Perrin accept Young Bull, but no. We have to wait about a cajillion books for him to kind of be more settled into what he is. And as Rand settles into being a potentially crazy, world-ending messiah before Perrin's like, yep, I'm a wolf and a man. Nope, it's false hope. Perrin didn't marvel, Perrin said aghast, because he treats it like a curse instead of the gift of wonderment it really is. Alright. Deep breaths. Moving on. So, here, Elyas explains a bit of how communicating with wolves works, and how he learned he could do it. And I'm just gonna read these explanations directly from the book, because I like how they're phrased, and I don't want to screw up this explanation, alright? It's too important to that. So we're going to page 341. Alrighty, there it is again. The typo. You talk to them, Perrin marveled. It's a lie. It's a lie. If he marveled, he would have been a lot more accepting of it earlier. Okay, and here's Elyas. It isn't exactly talking, Elyas replied slowly. The words don't matter, and they aren't exactly right either. Her name isn't Dapple. It's something that means the way shadows play on a forest pool at midwinter dawn, with the breeze rippling the surface, and the tang of ice when the water touches the tongue, and a hint of snow before nightfall in the air. But that isn't quite right either. You can't say it in words. It's more of a feeling. That's the way the wolves talk. Does that mean my name would be like Roller? He who lounges an office chair and sometimes rolls across the floor instead of getting his fat ass up to get it that way. But that isn't quite right either. So, yeah. Aha! That's the way wolves talk. The others are Burn, Hopper, and Wind. Burn had an old scar on his shoulder that explained when... I don't think I need to read that part. Yeah. Anyways, so... It is interesting how they bring up the first day. Oh, that's another part. Okay, I remember. I'm supposed to read this other paragraph, but not the one in between. See, this is why I shouldn't just say read this part from book in my notes, because it's lazy. I just didn't want to mess it up. So, blah, blah, blah. Elyas is pleased to have another human to talk to. Perrin wants to know how he learned to talk to wolves because, he thought he might keep the potential crazy man talking instead of, having his friends, attack. I think, stall tactic, whatever. They found out, Elyas replied. I didn't. Not at first. That's always the way of it, I understand. The wolves find you, not you them. Some people thought me touched by the Dark One, because wolves started to appear wherever I went. I suppose I thought it too, sometimes. Most decent folk began to avoid me, and the ones who sought me out weren't the kind I wanted to know. Yeah, dark friends are never fun. One way or another, then I noticed there were times when the wolves seemed to know what I was thinking, to respond what was in my head. That was the real beginning. They were curious about me. Wolves can't sense people usually, not like this. They were glad to find me. They say it's been a long time since they hunted with men. And when they say a long time, the feeling I get is like a cold wind howling all the way down from the first day. There we go. That's where I should be in my notes. The first day named here seems really interesting to me. It makes me think that time wasn't always a wheel in this world. Maybe Sidene and Sidar pushing back and forth against each other are the wheels. So maybe when the one power wasn't necessary anymore, time wouldn't be the wheel anymore. But I honestly don't know. Egwene says she's never heard of men hunting with wolves, and Elyas just ignores her and tells us that, all wolves remember the history of wolves, or at least the shape of it. Again, very cool. But they remember running down prey alongside men, but it's more of a shadow than a proper memory. But like I said, it's hard to put into words. I need to write my notes better here. I know, Elyas. Why do you think I read directly from the sacred texts? Because I don't want to be the guy that screws that shit up. But I still screwed that shit up, so whatever. Egwene says that just sounds really interesting, but it's obvious she's just trying to be polite again. I wonder if she's making those noises. I don't know. Elyas looks at her sharply, like maybe he thinks she's mocking him or something, but she's just like, no, really, it's great. Do you think you could teach us to talk to wolves? Yeah, good job, Egwene. I don't think he heard the tremor in your voice at all. Yeah, great job. But Elyas is like, no, it can't be taught. Some people can do it, some can't. And that's when he drops the balefire. They say he can, while indicating Perrin. So, yeah, Perrin's now positive the man's crazy. Oh, you're saying I can talk to wolves now. Yeah, okay, you fur-clad man that rolls on the ground laughing at his own goddamn jokes. Yeah, we'll believe you. And Elyas, yet again, asks them, why are they even here? If you're going to Camelin, why are you out here in the middle of nowhere? Why? Now, this is a bit nosy for a stranger, but, as the man fed them, and they're totally lost, I think it's only right that they, answer the fur-clad man's questions. But Lan has told them not to speak the truth of these things, so what will they do? Well, as it turns out, the two have crafted a feasible tale for just this occasion. A way to explain their situation to any people they came across without letting slip certain dangerous information. Sounds good. Really, sounds good. Let's see what you got, guys. And Egwene begins delivering the story smoothly, with Perrin nodding along approvingly. And honestly, Perrin has a thought that even Tom Marilyn couldn't have crafted up a finer story with their limited knowledge of the world. Oh, no. oh, this is going to be bad. Their story's just going to suck, isn't it? Yeah, you see? They're running away from a tiny farming village outside Saldea. They'd never been farther than 20 miles of home before, but Gleeman stories and merchant tales, well, they just lured them right out into the world. So now they want to see stuff like Camelin and Ilion, and I don't know, maybe even a Seafloak Island. Like, they don't want to be greedy. Yeah. As you can see, it's obviously a masterly crafted tale. You know? Something Tom Maryland could never top. I mean, it's not like Tom Maryland pulled a story out of his ass in order to placate a temperamental but good-natured river captain just a few chapters before or anything. Pulling details from all the places the Gleeman's actually been and seen. Amateurish. You know what I mean? Mixing in the bit about saving the life of an Illianer man to the captain, who also happens to be an Illianer. Way too much. Way too forward. Talking about places and things you've never seen. That's the way to go about it. Perrin, good job, mate. Seriously, my God. Egwene, what a fantastic tale. I honestly don't know how anyone could see through this. It's masterful. Except it's garbage. And I'm not the only one that sees through this bullshit. Elyas was like, nice, I see. Quite a tale. Of course there are a few things wrong with it. Like, I don't know. You don't look, speak, or act like a Saldean, you know? But, like, besides that, Dapple says it's a whole lot of lies. The whole tale. And Egwene tries to get all offended, but is kind of too nervous to pull it off. So she's just like, well then, if you think we're lying to you, then obviously we're not welcome at your fire anymore. Thanks for the food, but we'll be camping somewhere else tonight. And Elyas is like, yeah, no. What I really need to know is about the Trollocs and Myrddraal. Dapple could smell them in your minds as you told that bogus story of yours. Yeah, Elyas said bogus. Challenge me on that. All the wolves could smell it. Burn just wants to be done with you. He says hunting's been a bit scarce lately, and you're all plump and juicy, but Burn is always impatient. Why don't you tell me the truth now? The truth, mind. Even Dapple's nearly as upset as Burn. And then he goes on casually with this. I hope you're not dark friends. I'd hate to kill people after feeding them. Oh, man, what a... Oh, Elyas is awesome there. The two hesitate. And Egwene looks at Perrin, and he's just like, oh, now she wants me to take the charge, huh? Oh, brilliant. Just great. And the big guy slowly kind of lets his hand fall towards his axe, and the wolves rise to their feet again, hackles up and growling. And it just wasn't the four in the camp this time either. Out in the trees past the fire, Perrin heard more. First 2 howls, then 10, then 20, and the night was full of it. And then suddenly it was quiet. And Perrin's just like, shit, all right, fine, all right, I'll tell you. And the wolves actually respond to him and settle down to listen to his tale. So Perrin began, for real this time, saying it all started when his friend Matt Cawthon saw a dark rider in a black cloak that didn't move in the wind. The cloak didn't move in the wind. Whatever. From there, he told the whole tale. Winter Night, Baerlon, the hordes of Trollocs, Shadar Logoth, Mashadar, all their way to their plans for heading to Camelin, and then possibly going on to Tarvalin if they must. The only thing he left out of the dream was the dreams of Baalzamon, and he kept expecting the wolves to notice, but they just watched him. I think they're cool with him leaving that alone, you know? Also, I really like how Perrin seemed to gauge the wolves listening to his tale. He's like, Dapple seems friendly, and Burn seems angry. I wonder I wonder how he knows that. I mean, I don't think Dapple's sitting there wagging her tail, so he must be getting it somewhere else, right? And by the time Perrin was finished, he'd talked so long his throat was cracked and parched, and Elyas threw him a water bag, musing aloud that Trollocs this far south was a problem and something worth thinking on. And that he doesn't hold with Aes Sedai much. And here we get a bit of a glimpse into the man Elyas was. We learn that the Red Aja wanted to gentle him due to his, well, let's call it wolfish abnormality. And this apparently pissed the warder off, and he called those Reds Black Aja to their faces. That is a brave, brave man. Huh, funny. I can't quite recall. Is this the first mention of the Black Aja? Cool. Anyways, he goes on saying that, he pissed the Reds off, calling them Black Aja, and he had to escape them, and he had to kill a few warders to do it. But once he got into the woods, they weren't able to keep up with him anymore. Bad business killing warders, he says, like it's no thing. Just not a big deal at all. Jesus. The only other non-Aiel, non-Ta'veren character I could even believe that from in this portion of the books would be Lan himself. I mean, I guess Gawain and Galad could be counted later on, but Galad's one thing, but I don't really want to count Gawain for anything, because it's just, really frustrating how he starts the series out being pretty cool, and, each book we see him, he's that much more of an asshole until, who else besides me was kind of, happy Gawain died? I mean, if you're like, shit, Egwene, oh no, but at the same time, you're like, Jesus, Gawain, at least you're gone now. Your attitude was just too much. It was too much. It was so frustrating. Fun fact, I might have called Elyas earlier a former warder. I don't remember if I used that phrasing or not. But he's actually still bonded to his Aes Sedai, Rena Halfdan. And she has only masked the bond, so he can't sense her. So she can come up on him at any time. She can sense him, and in true Green Aja fashion, she has not even once ever considered giving up on him as her warder, She is his by, Aja standards. And by the way, if you're trying to place, if you guys know Rena Halfdan at all, you do. Do you remember Jolene, who was unseated from the hall by Elida and sent to Ibudar with Teslin, and where they met up with Matt, and, blah, blah, blah. Rena replaced Jolene in the hall. So, yeah, there you go. The more you know. Moving on. Oh, a brief thing I forgot. It's also rumored that Elyas is actually married to his Aes Sedai. So yeah, the more you know, again. Moving on. So Elyas saying he doesn't like Aes Sedai, and that you guys should stay clear of Aes Sedai, makes Perrin feel like he needs to talk a little quick, He's noticing a stubborn gleam in Egwene's eye, and he's worried she might, just go blurting out that she wants to be Aes Sedai. So he speaks the simple truth. He wishes he could stay away from them. He honestly does. Far, far away. But he doesn't really have a choice. He keeps getting followed. Trollocs, Myrddraal, Drakkar. He says, that, the only thing they haven't seen after them are Dark Friends. Which, he doesn't know Padan Fain is a Dark Friend. And, now I'm thinking about it. Is Fain still a Dark Friend? I mean, by now he must have merged with Mordeth, right? And left Shadar Logoth. That's something to think on. Anyways, Elyas has a silent chat with the wolves, which Perrin, really tries to ignore, because if he watches them, he almost feels like he can understand or faintly hear the conversation going on between them, and he just doesn't want it. He looks away, and he sees Hopper, and Hopper gives him a grin. I love it. Hopper already looking out for Young Bull, right? Plus, Perrin's just freaking out a little bit more, because he's like, how did I know that one was named Hopper? Oh no. Oh no, what happened? My notes went crazy. Oh, we're back to the Tom Maryland bit in my notes. Moving down. No, moving up. Okay, gasp. And that's when Elyas really, really surprises them with a new offer. You could stay here with us, with me and the wolves. And when the two youths look thoroughly shocked, he's like, well, what else could be better? Trollocs don't mess with the wolf pack, okay? They might chase down and kill one wolf alone, but they'll go miles out of their way to avoid a pack. And Perrin's just like, that's nice and all, but there's other stuff following us other than Trollocs. And Elyas just chuckles. I've seen them pull down one of the Elyas too. Lost half the pack, but they would not stop until it's dead. You know, the wolves hate Trollocs more than anything. Murdral too. More than anything. And so does he. The girl is inconsequential. The horse probably will get eaten. But what they really want is Perrin. That's what Elyas says. It's you they want, boy. They've heard about other men who can talk to wolves, but you're the first they've ever met outside me. And Perrin's just still in denial mode, which I get, now. When he's just figuring out about it. Several books from now, he's like, look, I can't do what you say, what you can do. I just can't. I don't know why you keep saying this absurd thing, like that I can talk to wolves. It's nonsense, and frankly, I wish you'd stop. And I love it. And Elyas is just all, yeah, whatever, boy. Play the goat if you will, but it's an option. However, while Perrin is still firmly in denial mode, and like, he's not looking for alternatives right now. He's just like, I can't talk to wolves. No, I can't hear you. No, I can't do it. But Egwene speaks up loud and strong. She's like, thank you, Mr. Elyas, but we'll be going to Camelin. And then to Tarvalon, and I love Perrin's reaction here, because she just burst out with it, and she gives Perrin an angry look like he was all gung-ho to stay in the woods with the old man and the wolves. And Perrin just gives her an angry look right back, and then gives us a truly wonderful and funny and sassy retort. I'm just going to read it out of the book again, because I'm too lazy to type it down. Page 346, second to last paragraph. Closing his mouth, Perrin met her angry look with one of his own. He knew that she followed his lead when she wanted to, and not when she did not. But she could at least let him answer for himself. And this is when he gets catty and amazing, and it's just hilarious. What about you, Perrin? He said, and answered himself. Me? Well, let me think. Yes, I think I'll go on. He turned a mild smile on her. Oh my god, I love it so much. Well, Egwene, that makes both of us. I guess I'm going with you. Good to talk these things out before making a decision, isn't it? And she blushed, but the set of her jaw never lessened. It's just Perrin's like, oh yeah, let's talk things through, Egwene. And he got her embarrassed, okay? It worked. It's so funny. I love it. I really do. And Elyas isn't surprised at all. He's like, yeah, that's what Dapple said you'd say. She says, the girl is planted firmly in the human world, while you stand in between. And when I read this line, I thought it was amazing. Because first, I was thinking, I was still in the Dreamwalker thought process in my head. Halfway between worlds sounds like a really good medium for someone entering the world of dreams. And it makes me think, like, is Egwene's halfway between Aes Sedai and Wise One? And while Perrin's, like, halfway is Aes Sedai and Man? And I don't... Perrin's halfway is Aes Sedai and Man. Perrin's halfway would be Aes Sedai and... Wolf and Man! Okay, we're almost at the end. Oh, man. Regardless, Elyas decides he might as well go south with them in the morning so they don't starve, or get more lost, or, die and end up in a Trolloc cookpot. But he's interrupted by Burn, who gets up in a huff, and there's this brief but intense stare down between Burn and Elyas, and then Burn and Dapple, before Burn just heads off into the darkness. And Elyas explains to them that Burn hates Trollocs. It's like all there really is to him. He got that burn when he was a yearling, and that's what named him. Makes you think, when do wolves get their names? Like, after they're a solid year old? Like, who knows? It's kind of like Scar from Lion King. It's like, is he called it because, or is he... Oh, well, whatever. Yeah. So, if there are Trollocs and Murdral about, Burn's going to be off hunting them. And Egwene's all, like, supremely relieved at this. She thinks she got out of traveling with Elyas and the wolves. She's all like, oh, yeah, no problem. I understand. You don't have to accompany us. It's cool. If you could just point us in the right direction, that would be great. Just fantastic. And the grizzled old man just waves her off and says, didn't I tell you Dapple leads this pack? Don't worry about it. We'll head off with you in the morning. And Egwene's just like, yay! I bet she's super excited to be traveling with a potentially crazy mountain man with wolves for friends who, by the way, dislikes, and probably in her mind, disrespects Aes Sedai, that what she wants to be. So she's like, hey, I get to walk around with another person who doesn't respect my power. Oh, God. The chapter ends with Perrin's denial being truly put to the test. He gets a thought from Burn as as the wolf heads out into the darkness, followed by several other young males. His first true, unadulterated contact from the wolves, probably because it's such a strong emotional sending. Hatred, and the taste of blood. And that is it. That is the end of Chapter 23, WolfBrother. I'm going to take a tiny little break, and then I'm going to fetch Balsamon from the other room, and we're going to answer some of this Q&A questions, and then I'm going to post it. It's going to be great. All right.
God, I almost forgot. There actually is one more thing I wanted to talk about
Before we get to Balsamon's Q&A section, it's the places and people brought up in this chapter, and how they kind of, not foreshadow, but how fun it is to think about how it relates to these characters' future. Elyas talks about going to the Waste and meeting the Aiel, and that's something that Egwene will do. She will go to the Waste, and Perrin will even make friends with multiple Aiel. Gaul, and he kind of gets along with Bane and Chiad. But Gaul, he really respects, you know what I mean? And it's not only that, they're talking about how they're from Saldaea, and they're heading to Ilion and Caemlyn and all that. And Perrin's wife is Saldaean, and unless she finds some master way to get out of it, by the end of the series, she's queen, right? So Perrin, he won't be king, but he'll be the queen's consort, the queen's general. I don't know. So he will technically be a major player in Saldaea by the time this is all over. And who knows, Fael could already be on her way or in Ilion, ready to take the Hunter's Oath. I know that comes to play here really soon. The events of Eye of the World are very, very short. So she could be traveling to Ilion right now for all we know. To me, it's really cool, but let's move on to Balsamon, alright?
Look, Gleeman, all I'm saying is you've still yet to add the Friends of the Dark tier, and I don't know why. Like, won't you just put it up there for me, please? Like, I do so much on this podcast. Is there a reason I can't get my own tier?
Oh, God, I've told you, Balsamon, if anybody ever requests a Friends of the Dark tier, we'll think about putting it up. And guess what? You've been asking about it and asking about it and asking about it and asking about it. And guess what? No one has requested it. So let it go, and we'll bring it up again if it is requested. Okay? Alright. Yeah, let's do that. Now, let's get on with why you're here again. Baalzamon's Q&A section.
Damn right, let's get to it. I, Baalzamon, can answer any question posed to man.
I just want to briefly say to everybody listening out there, this might be the last one in a while. We haven't been getting more questions in, so if you want to submit a question to be answered by Baalzamon, I would suggest, comment, email me at gleemanradio@gmail.com, or, send me a message on Twitter, or you can even go to my subreddit, Gleeman Radio, or, any of those options. We're getting low on them, so if you want to hear them, you got to give me the questions. Are you ready, Baalzamon?
Of course I'm ready. But first I'd like to make it clear that, listeners out there are ordered by me, Nameless, Baalzamon, Heart of the Dark, to submit more questions for me to answer. I honestly want more to do than the recap and the spoiler. So get on that. Now, what are the questions, Gleeman? Let's get this going.
Alrighty then, question 1 comes from patron James Claver, who submitted his question on Twitter. His question for the Nameless is, in channeling the power, does physical fitness of the channeler matter or offer advantage? And if so, lift or cardio?
Cardio, clearly cardio. Let's be honest, in channeling, being a bit overweight doesn't really matter, and your physical strength doesn't really matter. But you should have a good reaction speed. So, I would suggest cardio, a bit of running, a bit of, there's always good training to be done. There's no reason to get soft. But at the same time, physical prowess isn't a supreme necessity for the channeler. Even the average low-blood weakling channelers need it little. So I would say cardio, keep yourself in relatively good shape, not necessarily, muscle-bound or lean and athletic, but as long as you are in a decent physical fitness, I would say that would be good enough. If you let yourself go too completely, then you might not be able to react in the split second needed to destroy your enemy or shield yourself. That is my answer.
Wow, that was an exceptionally professional and respectful response, Baalzamon. Wow. The second question comes from Troy Firth from Reddit. And their question is it possible to balefire Lanfear so hard that she never opens the bore?
Is this question a joke? Because if it is, it's a bad joke. Are they meaning, can they balefire Lanfear when she appears in the next book, in book 2? Because, no, not ever. No, absolutely not. But if, for example, Lanfear Merrin, as we called her then, if her partner, while she drilled into the bore, turned upon her and noticed the evil coming from the bore and immediately killed her using balefire, maybe, but most likely not. I mean, even if he used all of his strength right then and there, because, it was the prison for the great Lord of the Dark, not some inconsequential tear in the fabric of reality. It was the opening of his prison. It was the beginning of the end of inevitability. It was the return to the age-old war that had happened again and again and again. You can't... I don't think even balefire could have closed it. But it would have had to be done in the exact moment it was opened, and even if it happened, I'm not sure that the seal wouldn't have been weaker than before. That's the best I can do with this question. Yeah.
All right, your answer to that question seemed more or less, rude, which seems point of fact. Yeah, that is a bit of an odd question. I agree with Balsamon. I don't think you could do it unless you did it at like the moment the boar was torn. And even then, would that be enough to seal it back up entirely, or would that just, leave it weakened? It's hard to know. So here is the last question of the day, and it comes from Arangar5 on Reddit. Hey, Baalza buddy. Why do you always wear the big cloaks and stuff in an attempt to look intimidating? If you just hit the gym for a few centuries, you could probably #get jacked.
Is that what we've come to now? Are all of these questions supposed to be about my physical well-being? I am nameless, people. No, I am not overweight. Yes, I am quite well built. I am just do not care about physical fitness. Why are you people so damn surprised about my cloaks and coats? I don't get it. Every character that is ever mentioned in the series ever, the first descriptor we get is their cloak. First thing we get of Randall Thor, his cloak billowing in the wind. First thing we get of Luz Theron, he's walking around in his cloak that's all dusty. I'm in perfectly fine shape, and I don't know why people are persisting to have this conversation. It is ridiculous. And again, the next time someone calls me Baalza Buddy, they are getting nightmares that will horrify them for the rest of their life. So yes, I am already jacked, okay? Physical power just means nothing to the channeler.
Alright, Betrayer, calm down. No reason to get testy. They're just asking their questions. I mean, you're not going to get that upset just because they're wondering about how well shape you're in, are you? Just cool down a bit. Why don't you go back and watch more compilation videos on epic fails? Why don't you do that?
Alright, Gleeman, I think I will. I've had enough of this nonsense. I am nameless, highest of the chosen. I think I should be getting a little bit more respect around here. So remember to send in more questions for me, and not about my physical appearance, and also, yes, Friends of the Dark Tier, ask for it. I'm gone. I'm out of here.
Storming off in a huff again. What's new? Well, that was the podcast, everybody. I hope you all liked it. If you do enjoy this content and would like to help out the podcast, please go check out our Patreon page. For $1 a month, you can support the channel, and you don't get charged until the first of the month. So, I mean, our first drawing is going to be in September, and right now I only have one patron. I keep saying Patreon when I mean patron. Right now he's got a clean slide for victory. Okay? So, even $1 a month gets you a ticket in, and you get to support the channel, help me get better prizes, better, equipment. Hopefully soon I'll be able to commission some sort of Wheel of Time fan art. I want some chibi Balsamons and Gleemans, and I want some Gleeman and Balsamon yelling into radio microphones, and I want all this stuff. But I need to find out where to get it, and I also need to, find a way to pay for it. So I guess I need to save up and figure out where the hell I can go. If any of you know where I can get some great Wheel of Time fan art, or if you yourself feel like you are a adequate artist, maybe send me your contact information on email or something like that, so we can figure this out. I'd love to get some custom illustrations, and that would be so cool. So check out a Patreon if you like. Help me figure out how to get fan art if you like. Comment and like always. Criticize if you feel like it. Give me a review on Apple or iTunes. 5 stars, please. And yeah, have a wonderful rest of the day wherever you are. Morning, afternoon, or evening. Take care now. Peace out. Bye.